Recently, our own Jen Rogers sat down with Cathie Wood, founder, CEO, and CIO of ARC Investment Management, to talk about how they keep clients at the top of their minds when making investment decisions.
First of all, I'm thinking of our clients every day, all day. And truth be told, all of my IRA is in our funds and GBTC, which is the only way I can gain exposure to crypto, or at least Bitcoin there. So I'm in there with you. We're aligned. We're on the same team. That's great. But the other question, are we in a bubble? I do not believe so. And I am very happy that many people are worrying that we're in a bubble. I experienced the late 90s bubble. And yeah, the value investors out there were really worried, and they think they're going to have their day in the sun again because they did so well during the tech and telecom bust. I don't think that's the case now. I think that the seeds for what we're experiencing now were planted back then. Too much capital chased those opportunities too soon, after too few opportunities. There were too few opportunities, and the technologies weren't right. The costs were way too high. We're at prime time for those 5 platforms now and those 14 technologies. And we've just begun, and they're going to be very disruptive and maybe destructive to a lot of value spaces. Not everyone, but anyone looking at price to book, watch out for that book. It may disappear because of disruptive innovation. Anyone looking at that high dividend yield saying, I got to hold on to the stock, be suspicious of high dividend yields if that company is in harm's way. And I would say there's about 50% of the S&P 500 in harm's way. Why don't we? I think we're in a bubble because if you look at equity flows since the beginning of 2018, and remember, we had a big market in 2017, so you'd have expected flows to really start to gush. What has happened since then is there's been net liquidation. If you just look at ETFs and mutual funds, there's been a liquidation to the tune of $350 billion if you take away share repurchases. Don't count those. But if you look at fixed income, there has been a net inflow of roughly $900 billion. So think about that, a $1.2 trillion gap there. I will not believe we are in a bubble, equities that is, until we see that relationship flip. I believe bonds are in a bubble, and I believe what just happened with GameStop and AMC and American Airlines, Bed Bath & Beyond, all of those, that is exacerbating the bond bubble because you're bailing those bondholders out so they can put money elsewhere. And so, I find it a really interesting phenomenon. I don't think it'll last. I think it's been a good wake-up call for investors generally to, understand who is doing what and why. And for investors like ARC to say, look, truth will win out. Make sure you're on the right side of change because there is so much disruption and destruction taking place out there, and it will take place at an accelerated rate during the next 5 to 10 years. So be careful.